Today's video is top tips for you when your pet won't eat. And this is super important, right? There are lots of reasons that our pets won't eat. And so that's the things that we need to think about is why are our pets not eating, and address that. And then I'm gonna give you some tips and tricks. And some of them are gonna be things that you can do at home. And some of it is gonna require going to your vet and getting some medications. Nothing is more frustrating when you can't get your dog to eat. So in this blog, I'm gonna give you tips and tricks to get your dog eating. Let's break it down. Let's talk about the different things that we can do to get our pets eating. Let's do it. All right, guys, so your pet won't eat. So I thought for this part, it might be helpful to have my husband, Dr. Kerry Heuter, who's a board certified internist, help us with some suggestions of things you can do in the home if your dog or cat won't eat.
Well, some dogs and cats can get bored with what they're currently eating, so trying something new can help. If you have another commercial diet that's available, you can try that, but a lot of times you don't, and so you can try some home cooking. So either some boiled chicken, boiled rice, boiled pasta, baked potatoes, all those things can help. Heating the food in the microwave, give it a little bit more aroma, or adding a little bit something extra on top, like a little bit of chicken broth or something like that can be helpful.
Yeah. So these are one of my favorite things. So I usually like a low sodium chicken broth for dogs and cats, just so we're not adding a lot of salt. For cats, one of the things that I love is a little bit of tuna, and sometimes even just a little bit of the juices from the tuna I find is really helpful as well. What do you think about, so I have some chicken, can I cook it with some nice olive oil or maybe some butter?
No, I mean that's the one big negative.
Right.
I don't want to do anything really fatty or anything with a lot of spices. So I didn't say table food, I said boiled chicken, boiled rice, boiled pasta, something that sounds kind of bland, and it is bland, and that's good for the stomach, but they also something new for them, they really like it. You don't need to spice it up with other things.
And one of the big mistakes that I think clients make when their pet's not eating is they switch over their food, and so they don't make that transition slowly because they're so, like, they just want them to eat anything, and then what's the next thing that happens? Diarrhea, right? So, you know, and it's okay if your pet's not eating to try different foods, but then if you're trying things that had oil or butter, you know, they can get diarrhea, in worst case, they can get pancreatitis or something like that. So I think it's really important that we keep it lean, keep it simple. Some of the things that I like to do if you have on hand at home, so some plain white rice you can mix in the food, I think that's great. And then, you know, sometimes you might not have chicken, but maybe you have some cold cuts in the house. So we usually have some chicken or turkey in the house, so that would be other things that you can, you know, mix in with their food or heat up with their food, and might be some good options as well.
Yeah. And for people who don't want to cook, you can even use the rotisserie chicken that you get in lots of markets. Just make sure you take off the skin. That's where a lot of the fat is.
Okay. I usually think eggs is another good simple protein that you can do, so you can cook up the eggs. Just as a good suggestion, if your pet's not eating and you're going on a day or two, is to go to the pet store and just try different foods. So don't invest in a big bag or a big can, you know, maybe try different things and give them a little bit of a sampler, and that can help as well. You know, people often ask is, can you use steroids to stimulate the appetite? Because it is a known side effect that steroids can stimulate the appetite. And one of the things that I think to always be careful with steroids is you can't just give a couple of doses of steroids and stop it. You have to taper it, so that's always one of the issues. Many pets are on non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, especially for pain and things like that, and we don't want to use steroids with the non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. Okay, so we have been talking about tips and tricks for inappetence, and I have to say, guys, I have learned so much from y'all. So I did a post on Facebook, and you should definitely check it out, and also on Instagram, and I have to say thank you for the shout out. I just wanted to share some of the tips and tricks that you guys have shared with me, because some of them are really great. So Debbie, her pet was on Palladia, and that's definitely a medication that can cause some decreased appetite. She said that she would feed her pet whatever she would eat. Warming food, one of the things I mentioned, that's great. So she would feed them eggs, as we talked about, boneless, skinless chicken breast, and hand feeding can really be important as well.
So this is extraordinary because my dog is eating. Oh my God, she hasn't eaten in a week. Look, she's eating. Oh wow. That makes me really happy, but she's not supposed to eat burgers, so we're gonna get her some chicken breast because this is very greasy for her.
And lots of happy, peppy encouragement. So using those voices that our pets like.
Good girl, Kaya. Good job.
feeding outside, so change of environment. I think that's really important. She said when the weather was nice in the summer and fall. Sometimes changing the bowl, putting it on a plate, giving them something different. So if they eat out of metal, maybe ceramic, maybe using one of your plates. These are some tips that you don't learn in vet schools. She also tried tuna fish for her dog on dog food. So I talked about using tuna fish and the juice for cats, so you can use that for dogs as well. Anything with a high scent. Okay, along the lines of what Debbie just suggested, Gillian, when she had her pet Simba going through CHOP chemotherapy, replaced the metal bowl with a glass bowl and fed him chicken and roast beef slices, and started making use of bone broth. So again, some tips and tricks that I think can be really helpful. And then also used Pepsid, which is famotidine, which is an antacid, and that was when her pet was on prednisone, which is a steroid, and that can cause some stomach irritation, so that really helped as well. So those might be things that you want to talk to your oncologist or your veterinarian. If your dog is on steroids, sometimes that can cause some stomach irritation. They might want to use Pepsid, which is an over-the-counter medication, but I personally like omeprazole as well, which is Prilosec. Please talk to your veterinarian before adding any of these medications, even over-the-counter ones. Sometimes they are going to be contraindicated in your pet, and sometimes you don't want to be giving them with certain medications and things like that. So there's a good tips. But again, bowl changing, I love that. Good tip. Thank you, Gillian. Guys, I love this one. Here's a kitty tip. So this came from Laura, whose kitty, our 14-year-old male kitty Thunder, great name, had low-grade small cell lymphoma. Always been a picky eater, right? So that's going to be hard if your cat's never been a great eater and now your cat is on chemotherapy. So she had a hard time telling whether Thunder appetite was low due to chemo or to the cancer, or it was just, as she said, holding out for something better. He'll often turn up his nose at food and then enthusiastically gobble up Temptations or chicken breast. She used Meritaz and Serenia. But this is one thing that I love. She said she would try another texture. What does she mean by that? So sometimes he wants pate, sometimes slices, sometimes shreds. The texture seems to be more important than the flavor. And then one of the other big things she said was cutting him off from those Temptations completely. So then she knew that he wouldn't be holding out for him. Okay, Sherry, big fan of ours with a gorgeous dog who I think is going through lymphoma. Let me show you the picture. Serenia and Tice seemed to lose their kick about 5 months into treatment, so they switched to ondansetron. Just as one food may not always work, one nausea medication may not work. So she switched to Zofran and mirtazapine, and they helped us a ton. So that's a great tip. If one medication seems to be stopped working, you can talk to your oncologist or your veterinarian. They cook from the dog cancer diet in the book that I co-wrote, the Dog Cancer Survival Guide, and Angus will eat if hand-fed from her bed. And she said, can we say diva? And she said, although not optimal, chicken nuggets work almost any time when desperate, and sometimes when you're desperate, you have to do it. And she sent a cute little picture of Angus getting chicken nuggets in the car. Okay, guys, a few more tips because these are great. So Arwen Todd says, sprinkle something tasty on top. Little Parmesan cheese, crushed cookie crumbs were favorite for their family, and of course, hand feed. And we made sure not to get too emotional about meals. I read somewhere they can associate when you're upset with mealtime, making harder to convince them to eat. So if I needed to cry or yell in frustration, I'd hide in the closet. Good tips. Brittany says baby food. That's a great tip that I usually remember to mention, but I didn't. So thank you, Brittany. Anchovies. Ooh, I don't like anchovies, but hey, if it works. Canned food, add warm water, make gravy, canned chicken. And then Diva suggests goat's milk from Answers Pet Food. It's amazing. I'd never heard of that one, so that's another tip. Canned tripe was suggested. So smelly that most can't resist. Jacoby, one of my patients, apparently he typed in that he likes a little bit of freshly grated Parmesan on top of his food. Guys, I hope this helped. Comment below. Don't forget to subscribe. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch. I really hope this helped. I know how frustrating it is when our pets aren't eating. So again, if you have other tips and tricks, make sure you comment in the vlog below. If you know somebody who thinks this will help, please share. Don't forget to subscribe. Please comment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next one.